road inspections and prompt repair if there's damage. But anyway, we've conditioned a lot to make sure that we are a good neighbor during construction, which is about a year and a half time period. Also heard next about decommissioning next. And we have a comprehensive decommissioning plan and cost estimate prepared by a professional engineering team and will need to be approved by the county. It ensures responsible restoration of the site to its original condition. Solar panels and associated equipment are recyclable. The materials are glass, aluminum, and silicone and will be recovered and reused. And often the salvage value of these materials is greater than the decommissioning cost. And I've shown you here a map of current recycling centers in the United States. Okay, next. Here are some concerns about property values. The independent studies have shown that well-designed projects with good screening and buffers do not affect property values. There are numerous studies out there on that. These are some additional pictures of what Finneywood, what the exterior looks like right now. Okay, next. You're probably going to hear about capacity factor today. Solar capacity factor measures output, average output, not reliability. It is true that solar has a lower capacity factor than other generation sources, but the fuel is free and the emissions are zero. So 26% of zero is pretty good. Better panels and smarter grid integration are increasing their output every year. Solar, just like your gasoline-powered car that can reach 120 miles per hour, but is usually driven at 30 to 60 miles per hour, has a low capacity factor, but they're both highly valuable. Virginia's energy demand is projected to nearly double within the next decade. At the same time, as Todd noted, Virginia imports more electricity than any other state, a growing dependency that leaves us vulnerable to rising costs and supply constraints. Next, recent data confirms this trend. All of our top 10 demand days occurred just last year. To protect Virginia's energy future, we must invest in local generation now. As Todd noted, Finneywood Solar is a key part of Virginia's all-of-the-above energy strategy. It will complement natural gas, nuclear, and battery storage to ensure a resilient, reliable, and affordable grid. Utility-scale solar is the lowest cost per unit of electricity among major generation sources. It's cost-effective and fast to deploy. Unlike gas or nuclear facilities, which will take years to build, they're 5 to 7 years out, Finneywood can be online quickly and meet the demand today. We need this project today to keep your lights on. The growing demand is unbelievable.
Laura, are you close for finishing?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
I have a couple, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I think she may have touched on some of them, but I guess just want a little bit of clarity if we could. And I hope I'm not premature in asking some of these questions. So there seems to be a lot of concern about various materials that are utilized. So my question is, after the end of life of these materials, again, you may have touched on it, but did I hear you say that there's more recycling available now?
We can get back a couple slides. These are just the SCIA, Solar Energy Industry Association's partner facilities. So there may even be more, but there are several in North Carolina, as you saw on the map.
Okay, so can you acknowledge that once this project is over, the end of life, those materials would in fact, Dominion would absorb the expense of recycling them, and you'll have written into your plan that they will in fact be recycled? Or can you speak to where you believe the materials will go. Much of it, if I'm not mistaken, now goes into landfills. So can you guys kind of clarify for us, what's gonna be in writing in your plan for those materials?
I'm sure we would be happy to add that condition. I don't believe it's in our conditions right now, but the decommissioning plan does give us full responsibility for removing everything from the site and returning the land to its current condition. It would be crazy not to recycle, because like I said, the recycling revenue is often exceeds the decommissioning cost. We're not allowed to include that. We have to just give you what we think the cost will be, but the recycling would more than pay for the decommissioning. So I don't think we would condition that we would absolutely recycle them, but it would be a crazy business decision not to.
Okay.
And currently, yes, there are some landfills which are certified to take solar panels, but that's because right now you're just having some one-off damaged or broken panels maybe. But they would have to go to a landfill that's certified to take them if that were the case. We also have, we can work with recyclers to just keep them in a container and have enough to sell.
Okay, and that caveats into my another question. So, and you're more experienced with this than I am. There's natural occurrences that happen: hailstorms, tornadoes, hurricane, so forth. What, if anything, is there any plan to try to minimize any of that? I know you can't control the weather, but once the event occurs, and that's why I bring the question up about, not just the end of life, but what happens to any material that gets damaged. Again, is there something in writing from you guys to us? Because this is where I'm going with this. My predecessors, before I got on this board, there apparently were some things that were promised, but it wasn't in writing. And so I'm advocating that whatever the plan is, that we know what that plan is and part of our decision making. And so I'm just curious as to, at least at this point verbally, to know, what do we do with stuff that's damaged? What do we do when we're done with it?
Well, speaking to the storms, just to begin with, the solar panels and the equipment are tested to standards. They have to be rated for whatever the average highest wind is in this area.
Okay.
So they're secure under almost all storm conditions. They're also tested to be safe for hail up to a certain size, but of course, a larger size can always occur. What we've learned is that if we just put them in the fully upright position, if a hailstorm is coming, it really minimizes the damage to almost nothing. In Texas, they did have a bad hailstorm. Everybody probably saw it. The opponents love to show the picture of the one project that got damaged heavily. What they didn't tell you was there's another project right next door, and they stowed their panels, and they had almost no damage. And even the one that was damaged, the broken panels, they're sort of like the windshield. They crack. They don't really break up. There's nothing plastic in it. And the owner has insurance and utilizes that to replace the panels, and then the panels are either recycled, they can be reused, they can be sold to third world countries, or in the last situation would be to sell them to a qualified landfill. So I don't think we would have a problem with a reasonable condition on what would happen to the panels. Part of the problem is nobody knows what's going to be going on for 30 years. But I think it would be reasonable to ask that we ensure that to the extent possible they're recyclable. And all the other equipment is recyclable too, steel poles and things like that. So.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, one other thing, I'm just sorry, we are heavily regulated. So, the notion that we're just tossing panels into a dumpster is ridiculous. We have the EPA, we have DEQ, we have all kinds of regulators all over us all the time, as they should be, to make sure we protect the environment. So we're not just tossing them in the trash.
Okay. And that brings me to my last question. So, DEQ, how often, again, this may already be written into your plans, but how often will DEQ come in and do soil, testing and that type of thing? Is any of that in place, or do we wait until there's a violation or a concern, or someone has, brings up some problem?
There's no requirement for soil testing that I know of.
It's not.
We can condition that, we have done that places, we never find anything, but we're happy to condition that. It's gonna add expense to the project, but if that's, something that people feel comfortable with, we've done it in Richland County, I know, and some other places.
Okay.
So, is he doing anything with DEQ, how often they would, do you wanna know just like how often they inspect the site, or just about the soil testing?
Well, primarily the soil testing. I would like to believe that, that there would be some type of plan for soil testing, whether it's annually, every couple of years, or, is there any kind of testing at all? No, not necessary?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Sterling Turner, I'm an environmental professional with Dominion, and it's worth noting your questions about the materials. It's worth noting that as our solar program has evolved, we have also a very robust supply chain procurement process, which involves testing from the manufacturers as well as our contractors to ensure that these are non-hazardous, that the panels are completely non-hazardous per United States waste regulations, Virginia waste regulations. So they're not hazardous levels of these materials in the panels. There's also no evidence of leaching, whether during normal conditions or even catastrophic conditions. It really takes almost pulverizing of these panels to extract anything out of them. So we understand the concerns, especially in rural areas where stormwater runoff is important, groundwater is important, soil conditions are important. But the fact is, solar does not contribute any environmental toxic conditions to the soil and the ground.
Okay.
And as Laura mentioned, we have been doing some testing programs which are demonstrating just that.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No,
Take it
that's
away.
fine. Need to ask questions. Anyone else? Thank y'all for your presentation. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up our public hearing. I want to remind everybody, you've got 3 minutes to talk. We're going to keep up with the time, and when your 3 minutes is up, that's going to be up. Please stick to the subject matter of this project, solar project, if you would. So that being said, the public hearing is now open.
Grand Rising. Thank y'all so much. The board. My name is Derek Bowers. We live in Chase City, Highway 92, Chase, Virginia, 23924. My concern or my support in reference to this project is by me actually doing a lot of community work. I hear a lot of people in the community speak about jobs, speak about nothing to do in Chase, speaking about that the county withholds the money for Chase. And my whole thing is, if this project does go through and the monies that are being allocated to Chase City, I truly believe that we can actually do something that actually beneficial, increase the actual revenue around there, increase the actual living conditions around there in Chase City. And also in reference to the jobs, this project do go through, a lot of people say there's no job. Well, they always promise that they can actually give jobs to the local people here. I understand this is a small thing to you guys in reference to the key points that they spoke about, but I do hear the people in Chase City speaking about the jobs, speaking about nothing to do in Chase City. And if this project does go through, then the actual business in Chase City, they can actually increase their revenue as well. And like I said before, I do a lot of nonprofits, and like I said, I have a nonprofit, I'm sorry, I do a lot of activities. I'm hoping that y'all do approve this to actually go through. We speaking about the job, we speaking about the actual safety, we speaking about our youth. This is something our youth can actually continue to actually go on throughout their career. So I just say thank y'all so much. I hope y'all will support it.
Thank you.
David Tucker.
And please state your name and address when you come to the
Yeah, I'm
property.
David Tucker, I live at 6251 Old State Highway in Smithfield, Virginia. Thank you, Mecklenburg. I do this for free in a lot of areas. Responding annually, quarterly, monthly basis, utilities developers, localities provide raw data to the United States Energy Department database and UVA Weldon Cougar Center. I process the data to avoid misinformation. Needless to say, the process will always lead itself to change. Please do not move forward with Fennywood. A weak solar safety culture is the main problem that led to finding Virginia's renewables as being on a self-shuttering path prior to there being one big beautiful bill. Safety. It means our white women's safety long unattended aesthetics park broken got into the roads. The Dominion dismissed their accountability and told me it was VDOT's responsibility for the ditches and roads. Is there a misconnect? Also about solar, a 5-alarm fire had happened in Albemarle County. A school bus was hit in Surrey County. There had been a fire in Sadler over in Greenville. Where else, folks? A 0.25 is typically a good capacity factor, but Virginia has trended down to a 0.205, being equivalent to 175,000 homes annually not being served by that solar. Mecklenburg, Tabletop Grasshopper has a low capacity factor of 0.178 and decrease in production by 40,000 megawatt hours. Or how about this, 3,350 homes not being served by that place in solar. Bluestone, not Dominion's, has a 0.177 capacity factor. All right, not a lack of energy, but bad Virginia management created 10 million megawatt gas plant decrease in 2023, equivalent to, get this, 58 Fennywoods or 31 Mecklenburg solar facilities all combined. Past Wednesday, this is very sad, folks, very sad. Past Wednesday, Dominion Energy gave this professional engineer a failed aha moment attempt on an unsolicited call. Asked, why am I popping up in Mecklenburg? They failed to have me agree that they've been transparent. Informed me I filed cases against Dominion Energy. No, I have not. Told me I'm wrong with localities' approvals. This is questionable intimidation, desperation, or harassment approved by shareholders. It's not typical of this Dominion, folks. Who else have they done this to? After years of Dominion's incomplete and deflective responses, I turned to the ACC, who suggests I participate in public witness, and when doing so, it is limited to renewables, not limited to renewables or to Dominion renewables. It's all around, folks, pro and con. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt McDonald.
Good morning.
Come on.
I'm Matt Campbell. I'm a cattle farmer and landowner in Colfax County. Approximately 2 years ago, Dominion approached my bride and myself, wanted to purchase a piece of land in Clover to put solar on. My bride said it's not safe. And they upped the ante, my bride said it's not safe. So then they came back and wanted to lease it for 30 years. And so we agreed to this. And it wasn't just a piece of land, it was a part of her inheritance, her family farm. She had been in her family for many years. It was not we ran cattle on it. It was not an easy piece of land to farm. We tried tilling it, couldn't do it. We added to the provisional tract every chance we got. And some of it that we added was couldn't get anything to grow on it. We lined and fertilized it. When rains quit, it quit. And so I have soil scientists come from Alpes County to look at it and talk about it. He said it's sterile. It's been farmed to death. We chicken livered it. he did most of our property, and finally got something growing. Very difficult though. We could run about 40 brood cows on this particular piece of land. And, to be, in conservation, we fenced the woodlands out, was one creek on it, fenced that out, very, and a little pond there. And so we, dug some wells, and we couldn't get enough water to support the livestock. So we put a pump in that pond and pumped the water approximately 3/4 of a mile, to water these cattle. So it's not an ideal situation. We, this, when we agreed to lease it, it was for 30 years. My bride and myself both are 80 plus years old, so that's we had no children or grandchildren that were really interested in farming this piece of property. So what we're doing is we set aside $529 for our great grandchildren for that education, and we've been very pleased with working with Dominion.
Sir, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. It's 3 minutes up.
Thanks, sir.
Gary DeSantis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Gary DeSantis, 1110 Foreman's Road, Chase City. I currently live within 3 miles of all 3 existing solar sites. This project will literally be in my backyard. Living through the construction of these sites has been an absolute nightmare. From the careless traffic to the constant mud-covered roads that we had no choice but to travel. The Bluestone site has been non-functional since the so-called completion in 2021. The grasshopper panels had been fixed where they point straight to the sky due to wind damage, which I've seen with my own eyes when they rotate as they should. The buffers they promised are non-existent. When I questioned the meaning on this, they blamed it on the county. And to the point of the so-called helping the sheep farmers, the sheep were removed from grasshopper due to overgrazing over a year ago. I personally went door to door and obtained almost 100 signature petitions from neighbors who have or will be impacted from these sites. A University of Rhode Island study showed 400,000 transactions in a 3-mile radius of solar sites. Houses within 1 mile depreciate at least 1.7%. Those within 1/10 of a mile fall by 7%. With all this said, I ask you to please vote no against the Pennywood project.
Thank you.
Judy Brothers.
Good morning. I'm Judy Brothers, president of Friends of the Meharon River, and I also live in the neighborhood where Pennywood Solar has been proposed. A neighborhood that was characterized in Dominion's own risk ratings analysis as majority Black/AA and low income. My friend Joe was right when he told me they're coming here because we're Black. DEQ's own environmental justice rules state that these projects are not to be loaded into these areas, majority Black/AA, low income. We already have 3 of these projects within a 5-mile radius of each other. All of these projects have had significant problems. 2, not producing the energy promised to the county. And 2, the DEQ has not even signed off on due to unacceptable stormwater practices. The siting of this project is totally inappropriate and will threaten our scenic Meharon River, which is the municipal water supply for Emporia, Virginia, and that's a big deal. The chemicals in these panels have been proven to be there, and more studies need to be done on exactly how to handle them at the end of their life and during damage. You have voted on this project down in the past, the planning commission has rejected it, and your constituents clearly do not want more solar. Please vote no on Finneywood Solar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wesley Crump,
Good morning. My name is Wesley Crump. I've been a resident of Mecklenburg County my entire life, with 17 of River Road, Virginia. I am now a civil superintendent for Kiewit Construction. I started this solar stuff with Kiewit at Piney Creek Solar in Halifax. Started as an operator for Kiewit. After that solar project went through, I had to leave town and travel with Kiewit so I could maintain my job and keep going as a civil foreman, as well as now I'm a civil superintendent for Kiewit. Like I said, it's just provided a very good life for me and my family. And it provides a lot of good opportunities for young people around this area to take and work with a very good company that takes care of the people and takes care of everything like that. So that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Leo Noblin,
Good morning, board. My name is Leo Noblin. I'm a local from Southside Virginia. I was employed by Kiewit in November of 2024. Started off as a laborer. Since then, I've learned surveying and now the inspector of erosion and sediment controls on the solar site. I take lots of pride and truly care and strive to take care of our environmental impact and erosion on the solar site. This job has brought so many different benefits to my future in the world of solar construction, and the efforts from upper management has been relentless to help me grow as an individual in just a year. The last thing I would like to bring up is that I'm a neighbor to a solar farm. We own a bunch of land, and solar has never been a problem. Our property remains the same, the environment and wildlife are just as good, and I'm a hunter and spend a lot of time outdoors and pay attention to all factors that may have interrupted and haven't found one yet. Thank you, board, and please consider Finneywood.
Thank you.
Holden Franco,
My name is Holden Francis. I'm a local to Southside Virginia. I live in Halifax. Never been there for my entire life. I went to OU as a building, civil engineer, graduated there in 2024. And then began to be hired on my team early this year. I started out with the local project that previously we spoke about, and now I'm in football. So I've been, sort of moving up, getting more responsibility, and then given the opportunity to grow within the company. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to my family, as far as even financially, and being able to stay home and work from home pretty much. And it's hopefully a good opportunity to keep going and keep growing over the next few years around here. And they have plenty of opportunity to keep people moving and to keep people working. It's a good opportunity for people like myself graduating and coming out of college for people keeping jobs.
William White,
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
My name is William White, and I'm currently employed with TICQ. I live in Halifax County on Robert Road, where currently Clover Creek is being constructed. That alone is a blessing for me and other residents that live in that area. And that, it brings numerous amounts of jobs to the area. I started my journey with the company as an electrical laborer. Through the course of my time with the company, I came up to be a foreman, and I'm currently electrical general foreman. Not only has this job it has opened up so many doors for me and my family. It's not just a regular 9 to 5. It's a place where you can start a career in different trades of the construction world. Great management, awesome personal training, and great benefits. You even have the option to travel the world and horizons and meet new people, visit new places, and all solar has packed my life in a positive way. It brings tremendous amount of job opportunities to the area for locals. So, in my case, I say, agree on some of this, so,
Thank you.
Lane Gunn,
Good morning, Board. My name is Lane Young. I live at 16476 Kings Highway in Wiley'sburg. I'm a project manager for Red Oak Excavating. I'm also the chairman of the board of directors for the South Central Virginia Business Alliance. I'm also a professor with Southside Virginia Community College for the apprenticeship program that was developed to train heavy equipment operators for solar projects and to meet the IRS standard that is associated with most of them. Kiewit TIC, as you'll notice the last few gentlemen that spoke, they do a lot of solar projects for Dominion Energy. We do a lot of work with them as well. We've been working with them for the last probably 5 years. And we've taken our company from 15 to 17 employees, so now we're right around 32. We've expanded our equipment fleet by over $2 million in equipment in the last 2 years alone. These projects are vital to growth for companies like Red Oak Excavating and members of the South Central Virginia Business Alliance because of the revenue that it generates to build our businesses, support our families that live in our communities from Mecklenburg County, Lunenburg County, Charlotte County, and Halifax County. Everyone's surrounded. Everyone will benefit from these projects. You know, it's vital importance, that these things are staged the way they are because local small businesses such as Red Oak Excavating can take advantage of them every 12 to 16 months. Then once they're completed, we can drop back and help with closing. That's another 4 to 6 months worth of work. You know, I know that Mecklenburg County has a lot of stuff going on with Microsoft and expanding the data centers. But without these solar projects, sooner or later you're going to come to a screeching halt on data centers because you're not going to have power. And for small businesses like us, it's harder to get in at Microsoft with the large companies. But with Kiewit TIC, we have partnered with them on several solar projects. They've helped us work directly for Dominion. Randolph Solar is coming up, and we're doing their office complex in Laydown Yard for the initial startup of that job. And it would not have come to fruition without great EPCs such as TIC, Kiewit. You know, if they are the ones that selected for Fittingwood, which I'm sure they will be, you're going to have probably the greatest EPC in this country to build this project for you. They care about the environment, and as you can tell, they hire a lot of local employees. So who's going to care more about the place that they live other than the local people that's going to be building the project? You know, they're going to take pride in what they do. They're going to excel in everything that they do, erosion and sediment control wise, because they don't want their county that they live in and love to be messed up. You know, take that into consideration to approve this project, please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alden Behringer,
Good morning, Board. Alden Behringer, Mayor of Chase City, Virginia. I just wanted to state kind of where myself and Dusty Forbes, Town Manager of Chase City, stand. You know, we're for this project being able to be allowed to move forward. I like what you did today. You were asking questions about like how can we kind of ensure that the stuff that you say and you're promising is going to happen. Can we get it in writing? I think good fences make good neighbors. And if we want to have somebody who's going to be a good partner with our community, then we delineate what our expectations are, get it in writing, make it enforceable. I think through the second agreement, you can start to have that kind of thing come together. You just put into it the things that you want to see out of them, that you want to expect from them, and then we kind of build from there. I think kind of reading through the lines and some of what I've heard from Dominion today is that future energy development plans and things that are going to happen, you know, in the future are a little bit hinging on kind of what happens here today. If we're able to build a good relationship now, good working relationship now through this particular project, then when it comes time, we're looking into whether it's like a nuclear facility or gas or something like that, that we would have kind of a better platform to stand on together and make that happen for our area. We know we need energy. We know, the data centers that are around here bringing good jobs. We know that energy, especially like a nuclear plant or something like that, would be great jobs to have in this area, and great power generation, something that's 24/7 reliable and good. I would love to see us have that, but we got some steps to kind of march through. This is just a quick, easy way to get some energy into the area, get some jobs. It's done some great things for these gentlemen here who've been able to kind of start their careers and deepen them with the company that they work for. So I think there's some great opportunities here for us if we can get that working relationship right. If the signing agreement is agreed to and the stipulations are put into it that would make it make sense, make it work for us. And so I would ask you to consider it. That's our position on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Stanley Noblin.
Good morning, board. My name is Stanley Nolan. I'm a local contractor from Halifax County, and I have the privilege of being a subcontractor for Kiewit and Dominion Power on two projects, Piney Creek and now currently on Clover Creek Solar. Typically, what we're doing is hauling aggregate for Clover Creek Solar, and we did the same thing at Piney Creek, and also hauling away brush. At any time, any day, I may have up to 15, 20 trucks running for Kiewit in this particular area. With having so many trucks running, I have 9 separate subcontractors that work for me out of Halifax, Charlotte, and Mecklenburg counties. And what we're doing, and what they're doing, and hopefully you'll approve this project, we're putting groceries on people's table. It has really stimulated the economy in Halifax County. We hadn't been as blessed as you all to have the economic growth that you've had in Mecklenburg. But we're putting groceries on people's tables. They hold us to the highest standard of safety, and running for them over 4 years, we've never had a DOT violation. They hold their foot to the floor on everything that we do. And I ask you to please approve this project. Thank you.
Kevin Brittingham.
Good morning, board. My name is Kevin Brittingham, from Halifax County. I live in Clover, off of Genesee Higgett Highway. I'm currently employed with Kiewit. I started back in January on the Clover Creek project. I started off in logistics, where we work hand in hand on a lot of material handling and staging everything in the site, helping the civil get all the roads and stuff situated. And Kiewit takes very big pride working alongside Dominion and has even higher safety standards and recycling stuff and protocol that we use for our panels, the steel, and the posts and things of that sort. I moved on to the post side now, where I'm working to become a foreman myself, and this has definitely been a good career opportunity for myself and help my family. They've even been very lenient, or working with me very well to continue my schooling, and I'm trying to become a teacher myself here in Halifax County. When I first started, they allowed me to miss a little bit of time for work and do my practical for my college course to become a teacher. So I missed a little bit of work in there, that we make it up. And for the Inwood project, if you have to vote yes.
Alfred Bacon.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
I'm a lot of road partners in Chase City, Virginia. And what the young man said right there, I agree with Carl. Have it right, put the feet to the fire. Whatever they say they're gonna do, make sure they do it, have it right. What they say they're gonna do in Chase City, the revenue they're gonna bring to Chase City, have it right. That's the only thing I gotta say to it. Say if they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do, make sure they're right, and hold their feet to the fire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra Town.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Sandra Town, Randolph, Virginia. I am here today as a founding member and board director of the South Central Virginia Business Alliance. This nonprofit was created with one clear message: to ensure local businesses, suppliers, and workers get first opportunity to bid and participate in local energy projects. We represent the very foundation of thriving communities, good paying jobs, strong local businesses, and shared prosperity. All of us here today want to see Chase City reach the same level of success as the rest of the county, but geography has made that difficult. The Finneywood project will deliver millions in investment and create pathways for prosperity for Chase City and the entire county. Over the past several months, I have traveled across Mecklenburg County, meeting with elected officials, business owners, and residents. I spoke with everyone I could. I sat at harvest celebrations in Chase City and Clarksville. People didn't have to stop, didn't have to speak, but they did. Unsolicited, 95% of the feedback was in favor of this project. You've received 148 supporter signatures collected over the past 4 weeks from all over the county. You've also heard voicemails and read text messages from residents expressing their support. By contrast, I reviewed the opposition's petition submitted to the Planning Commission, maybe the same one today. Many of those signatures were years old, duplicates or gathered under false pretense, blank spreadsheets with no heading. A lot of the same individuals have since signed a petition in favor of Finneywood. I stand before you today completely confident that your constituents support this project. I understand that some have faced considerable pressure not to voice their support openly. Let's be clear, the Finneywood project poses no adverse impact on anyone or anything. It is in the right place, the right project, ready to deliver lasting benefits to your constituents, the county, and the energy grid. Can I say one more paragraph? Dominion's all of the above energy approach offers Mecklenburg County a chance to be a key partner in shaping our region's energy future. The Finneywood project represents the first step in building that foundation, delivering immediate investment, strong local jobs, meaningful progress for Finneywood, Chase City, and every part of Mecklenburg. I hope the right decision is made today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jess Gray. I'm Jess Gray, and I'm the CEO of Gray's Landscaping. I'm a board member for the American Solar Grazing Association. I was a 2023 Nuffield International Farming Scholar, a 2024 Virginia Rural Leader, and we are also proud members of the SCBDA. We graze our sheep on solar. We took our sheep off of Grasshopper because the pilot phase had ended for that project. So we've been working with Dominion since 2022 to get our sheep grazing on their sites. We now graze about 2,000 acres of their projects, and we would like to continue growing. What I want to talk a little bit about is the post-construction job and economic opportunities. So a lot of people talk about what it's going to do when we're building it, but nobody thinks long-term after the fact. And that's where we come in, and we get to work with local entities like the Water Authority, the Fire Department. We work with the local feed stores, we get vets. There's so much opportunity created, so there's no loss in it. It just looks a little different than dealing maybe with the cattle or whatever else used to be there before. But it does create some economic opportunity in that. On top of our shepherds, we're also looking at dual land use. So we're taking these projects that are typically in pine plantation, and we're now adding health and life back to the landscape. If there's life on the landscape, it's healthier for everybody involved. We are creating a commodity, so we are growing our sheep out, and then we are producing meat for the meat market. And that has also opened up a lot of opportunities as well in terms of the processing facilities and restaurants. Agrivoltaics, which is dual land use, so using solar with grazing opportunity, is a big opportunity for farming. It doesn't close the door, it opens the door for more people to come forward. It's a little bit different maybe than what it used to look like, and that's okay because farming has to change. But the big thing that we are doing is we are personally developing a cattle breed for solar. So we're thinking from all the years that we've been on solar, what does this breed look like? How can it work? And then our push is also now thinking multi-species. We are cutting down the carbon footprint by grazing our animals on these sites. We are making them better than when we found them. And Chase City has an opportunity to be a hub for sheep ranching that will support so many other businesses and potentially bring in even more business opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
George Toombs.
I'm George Toombs from Charlotte County. I've been involved in this argument, this fight for some time. And I'll ask boards, y'all board, other boards, how many ways do we have to catch them to have credibility? And how many lies are they allowed to tell and keep being applied credibility? I've listened today to the mention of there's no toxics in the panels and they have to be pulverized. They're going in our landfills in Virginia. We got a drone and called them, subcontracting with a guy that didn't even have a contractor's license and stored it behind the brick school in Charlotte County. And then they went from there to the landfill. There's multiple landfills we get reports that the damaged panels are going in right now. I've got video on my phone of a professional that works in Mecklenburg County, who I'll leave unnamed, standing on the Spanish Road in the middle of a storm with it raining and saying, this looks like proper erosion control to me with red mud washing across it. How many ways do you have to catch them? They get to call it farming when it's not farming. We are up here talking about depleted land, many of the ones that went to projects, depleted our lands with tobacco farms, depleted our lands with pines, and now they want to use millions in government waste to create another block. We're at a disadvantage. All of you look up John Rich. His song is out on the radio, gone viral, The Devil in the TVA. They're fighting the TVA in Tennessee because they took advantage of an Alzheimer's woman. We have an Alzheimer's woman story in Charlotte County. Maybe we need John Rich and the head of the USDA and Donald Trump in on looking at all of this. Trust Dominion. I'm a truck driver. I'm coming across the Dan River Bridge and the river's running with ash. Duke Energy gets a slap on the wrist. Dominion's full stuff. When is enough enough, and what do we have to bring to bear? And last but not least, put the liability on the upfront. Don't let them get away with being able to shift the blame, die out of old age, shut the operation, put the liability on the upfront and see if they don't walk away. Put their feet to the fire, nail them down, bring the real information to bear, and place on them the cost up front that everyone, our children, are going to be dealing with.
Sir, that's everyone I have signed up for the siting agreement. We have different sheets for the special exception permit.
Okay. All right. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hey there, Board. Good morning. Bob Dewars, 2700 Fort Mitchell Road. I don't like sheet change. I've had a little piece here in Chase City since '97, and the change is here in the world. I think this is a low risk change that, yes, will bring some benefits, and yet the big thing in my mind is to keep this area rural. It's going to stay rural during the construction. It's going to suck for neighbors and stuff. Yes, I totally understand that. but once it's over, the area is still gonna stay rural, bring some jobs, and I'm looking up to for my children, my kids. I would like to see them be here, but at the time, that's not feasible in this area. But long run, with this project and things like, still keeping this area rural, all thumbs up, and please vote yes. Thank you.
Okay. One more. Have you spoke? No.
I signed up, I must have signed in.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. We still got the public hearing open.
I actually shared a presentation, so. Alright, thank you. Alright, good morning, Chair and Supervisors. I'm Cesar Navarro. I'm actually a project sponsor for Kiewit. I'm here because I can speak from experience on how these projects are built and how they benefit the communities that host them. I am a Clemson grad. I've been with Kiewit for 11 years, and I've been blessed to spend the last 4 years building utility projects for Dominion. Next slide, please. I was originally going to focus on financial benefits, but in a nutshell, past 3 projects that we've built, we've spent over, you can go to the next slide. We spent over $400 million in the community, whether it be restaurants, hotels, subcontractors, suppliers, vendors, and wages. So you can go to the next slide. But what really motivated me to speak here today is the chance to clarify how much care and engineering go into making these sites environmentally friendly. I hear a lot of misconceptions. So here are 5 quick facts. So the first thing is the stormwater. We actually deliberately over-engineer these sites. As you can see, that's that site that was taken 2 weeks ago. We had a 4-inch rain event. The BMPs caught all the water, and you can see the pond there is crisp and it's pretty pristine, right? So that's very regulated and controlled. You can go to the next slide. The next thing is the screening. This is actually Piney Creek at Halifax. You can see the car down there. These sites are kind of like out of sight, out of mind. And we keep the original buffers and the setbacks. So we really don't have any dealings with the neighbors. Most of the dealings is with the owners that own this land. Next slide, please. Next, I do want to talk about these sites are balanced sites, which means that no material, no topsoil, nor structural fill is imported or exported from the site. We actually have to work with what's there. We have to grass this area with native grass mix. So that maintains the ground very fertile with the native seed mix. Next slide, please. Waste. So I've heard a lot about waste. So waste is very, very regulated. As a matter of fact, even routine trash is regulated and logged. Any damaged modules or end-of-life modules have to go to an approved recycler and then documented as a chain of custody. And actually, our recyclers in Texas. So none of these panels stay here in Virginia. They all have to go to Texas. That's where our approved recycler is. And then finally, I do want to talk about the decommissioning. So the decommissioning plans, these projects do not get approved without a plan and financial assurance, and the county does hold the surety of these decommissioning plans. We do not bury any waste or hazardous material. Everything we install or design is designed.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing. That is my district, District 7. And after conducting a duly advertised public hearing, it is my motion that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors rejects the siting agreement submitted on June 27th, 2025 by Dominion Energy. Jenny, you want to do a roll call vote?
So a yes vote rejects it.
A yes vote is for the motion and in rejection.
Mrs. Lundy,
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Brinkley,
Yes.
Ms. Blackwell,
No. No.
Mr. Gravitt,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Hargrove,
No.
Mr. Jennings.
Yes. Okay. All right. Lucky?
Okay, the last thing on the agenda is an application from Dominion for a special exception permit to use 497 acres out of 997 acres for a 98 megawatt solar facility. It's located in Mecklenburg County, tax parcel number 32253, 32252, 32251, 32250, 39341, 29831, 29833, 29834, 29851, 29850, 29837, 29839, 31651, 31652, 31653, 31650, 6698, 29842, 29841, 29840, 6913, 6697, 8339, 29849, 29848. These are all located in election district 7. The planning commission recommended denial of the application.
Okay, thank you, Lucky. I believe Dominion did their presentation on the siting agreement, so I will go right into the public hearing. I will open the floor up for the public hearing. Now, anyone wishing to speak? Jenny, you got the list. Okay.
If anybody doesn't want to speak, already has, just ask. David Tucker.
Hello, Mecklenburg. This is David Tucker, Smithville, Virginia. I can talk all day long about the good about Dominion Energy. I truly can. However, not renewables. I want you to remember Henry Howell. Some of you folks may remember Henry Howell. Keep the big boys honest. He was in reference to the Belco. At that time, I went to work for that company. All right? And there's also the sign that says, "Welcome to Virginia, owned and operated by Belco." Nowadays, that sign should be reading, owned and operated by renewables. Your lights could be going out because of that. Your bills are going to go up because of the incompetency of renewables. Please, I'll make a suggestion. I've done this. Call DEQ for soil sampling frequencies. They will answer the phone. Call First Solar on recycling. They will answer the phone too. However, you'll get a whole bunch of buts. Please, let the ratepayer see the arrays. Don't hide these places. Let them see the arrays where they can't find the sun. We're pointed opposite of the sun. That way they'll have some generators, a lot of intelligent questions. AES and SEIA stated without subsidies, and AES is a solar developer, folks, without subsidies, they might as well leave Virginia. I sat 15 feet away from those folks, and I heard that in the, what's it called, Commission of Electric Utility Regulations. DEQ have gone back and forth a few times, not a lot, on describing the panels as impervious. You know, I pay stormwater fees. Churches pay stormwater fees. All right, why can't these people be paying stormwater fees? You know, regulation. I come from an oil, coal, gas, and nuclear world. I am NAPSAP certified each day. The regulation on those energy folks are much more heavier than on these solar folks. Okay. CEX, AEP, they do not refute ratepayers in the press. If you refute ratepayers in the press, it's a sign that you're losing. Okay. I got some other explanations of other facilities. I've watched many. I've been in maybe 20 or 25, maybe 4 type of meetings, and I've heard some silly stuff. A lot of these developers, solar developers, do not understand energy. In most cases, they don't understand heliophysics. Sorry, I went there. They probably can't even find where the sun is. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like a lot of these have already Lee Noblin, Holden Francis, William White, Lane Dunn, Stanley Noblin, Mac McDaniel, Caesar, Herwig, Sandra Towns, Barbara Jefferson, Derek Bowers, Todd Clodfelter, Sandra Towns down, and Dennis.
Morning, board. My name is Dennis Boyd. I'm the business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers. Represent work all across the south side of Virginia here, including 56 that live in Mecklenburg County. The number doubles when you go around the surrounding counties. We want to speak in support of this. I was hoping to go for the previous vote to discuss this. The IBW has been involved in electric generation for over 125 years now. Keeping the lights on. Everything from transmission utility down to commercial work, data center work right here in the county, as well as solar and wind. And we know what it takes to get the job done, and we stand here in support with Dominion about how projects such as this will come to fruition and how good it is for the community. Representatives, the workers that are here in the county, with members of IBW as electric workers, giving them a better shot and give future members here in the county better shot at the middle class life. I also want to point out that locally, the commitment that we have is community development in the future. We have started the apprenticeship. We have an office there in Cross, right in town there, where we train. We've got 13 first-year apprentices starting this year in our apprenticeship class. Turning them out to be licensed during the environment, training them in safety, what's going to take to do this work. With that, appreciate your consideration on this. Thank you. I would like to invite everyone, come down and see that training facility we put into Cross.
Thank you. Jen? Is that it?
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay, one more.
Keep seeing in these counties, Georgetown's, Charlotte County, I keep seeing in these counties this, business alliance. Everyone needs to track that money and see how that's all lining up. And I've become aware that there's a lot of PAC money that's being poured into local elections. It's happened already in Charlotte County. I have an opponent that got $12,500 poured into his campaign. He was confronted by a local in that district. He alleged he didn't know anything about it. It comes from solar. There's PAC money, I'm told, involved in a campaign going on in that county right now, and it's not exclusive to Charlotte County. It's across these counties. This whole push is going out in Tennessee with the Tennessee Valley Authority to fight the John Rich and the head of the USDA and all of them are involved in right now. They wanted to bring a power plant into a community, and they strong-armed an Alzheimer's one. And there was a bunch of schools in the locality where they wanted to take eminent domain and take this land, and the neighboring county invited them to come back to a power plant location that the Obama administration had destroyed. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to take this land anyway. Hence, John Rich has a song that's out right now, "The Devil in the TVA." Everyone should look it up. It's pertinent to all of this struggle that's going on across our land. This is not local to the county. And as far as panels going somewhere to be recycled, they are going in our landfills. A number of landfills here in Virginia. I'm convinced they will plan to be buried on some land in Charlotte County had we not caught them. we might should have waited a little bit longer. But, I mean, I don't know how much the people that are trying to sound the alarm need to say for credibility, and I don't know how long they're gonna be allowed to tell anything they want to get ready and stack the information. I appreciate y'all's time, and we need much more awareness than is going on with these issues.
Thank you. At this time, I will close the public hearing on the special exemption permit. After considering the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and conducting a duly advertised public hearing, it is my motion that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors rejects the special exemption permit submitted by Dominion Energy. A yes vote is for this motion and to deny. Jenny?
Ms. Lundy,
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Brinkley,
Yes.
Ms. Blackwell,
No.
Mr. Gravitt,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Hargrove,
No.
Mr. Jennings.
Yes.
6-2.
Okay, I will give everybody a few minutes to leave. You're welcome to stay to the rest of our meeting, but if you'd like to go, I'll give you a few minutes.
Alex, that thing, every time you touch it, it looks like you're baking a cake.
Next.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property committee met on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 8 a.m. at the school board office. Members present: Sterling Wilkerson, Chair; Claudia Lundy, David Brinkley, Andy Hargrove, and Dennis Spence. Also present: Jim Jennings, Kurt Gravitt, Brenda Blackwell, Russell Slayton, Sam Carroll, Scott Warner, Christy Pfeffer, Brian Dalton, Alex Gottschalk, Judy Sheffield, and Jenny Whittemore. Chairman Wilkerson called the meeting to order. Upon a motion of Mr. Hargrove, the committee voted unanimously to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 to discuss the Lake Cross Elementary site. Upon a motion of Mr. Hargrove, the committee voted unanimously to go back into open session. Upon a motion of Mrs. Lundy, the committee voted unanimously to adopt the following certification resolution. Certification of closed session. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in the conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore be resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed session to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Gottschalk advised the committee that prior to 1962, 401 Madison Street served as the Mecklenburg County Jail. Following the opening of a larger jail facility that year, the Board of Supervisors declared 401 Madison to be a surplus, and in 1966 sold it to private parties. In the aftermath of the Good Bank Building fire, the office of the Commonwealth's Attorney was relocated to 401 Madison, and the building was repurchased by the county in 2001. Presently, no county office is housed in the building. There are no future plans for the building, and significant repair work would be necessary to make the space function. Accordingly, county staff recommends that the county divest from this property. This item is intended to discuss the committee's interest in disposition and favorably determine the best method of disposition. Upon a motion of Mr. Hargrove, the committee voted unanimously to authorize staff to proceed with retaining an auctioneer for the disposal of the Madison Street property. And I'd like to pause right there, Mr. Chairman, and make that in the form of a motion to the full board.
Okay, everyone's heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, the committee discussed an abandoned trailer behind Boyden Life Station. Staff advised that a demolition permit has already been obtained to clean up that property. Mr. Spence discussed some property options for a convenience center in the Cross area. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, I believe you're up next.
I think, you know, we had some discussion with land use in the county and, so I put this together to give you a little more background on it. Of course, it's a lot involved. Of course, it's a deferral and assessment, not an offer day. We will not offer any sales that may take place in the county. So it does not affect the locality in that way. Next. And this is the timeline. Of course, today we're speaking on it. November, possibly having some external perspective on it. So a look down to the action happening needs now, and then a budget finance committee discussion at that point. Next. The program was enacted by the General Assembly in 1971. There are 4 classes of land use: agriculture, horticulture, and open space. They all 4 can be adopted or individually adopted. Next. This slide shows the localities within the state of Virginia that have adopted and have not adopted land use practices. The purpose of the land use is to encourage real estate within region, concentration of populations, to conserve natural resources, protect water supplies, preserve scenic areas, allow for proper planning and development for an expanding population, and to ease the pressure of converting land to more intensive use. Next. Agricultural classification. To qualify, it must be devoted to production and sale of plants and animals or plants and animal products. Shall include property that is formerly in a state or federal conservation program, or which no longer receives compensation but still meets the requirement. Must be based on current use. It can include recreational activities that are for profit. Some portions of the property with special use permits will not qualify. Also, management of weeds and woody growth may be considered. All right, qualifications for conservation land resources. Must certify that the use is in a planned program for preserving soil, improve water quality, maintain soil nutrients, and control weed, noxious growth. Of course, this is done by terracing, cover crops, things like that. Next. For management and production qualifications, it must be a minimum of 5 acres in use. It must be income producing. Yields must be equal to 1/2 of the county average for the past 3 years. It can hold livestock, dairy, poultry, commercial use. For commercial use qualifications, it must have a minimum of 12 animal units per month per acre. It does allow for recreational use as long as it's income producing. There's a bunch of different scenarios that will fall into agricultural use. This is just to highlight a few of those. Next, horticultural use, which is for production, which should be devoted for fruits of all kinds. It shall qualify property that is in a state or federal conservation program, which may no longer receive compensation but continues to meet the qualification. Can include recreational activities for profit also. Next. Qualifications, it must be a minimum of 5 acres in use, it must be income producing, and the production of fruits, nursery products, or orchards will qualify. Next. Forest use, another classification, it must be devoted to tree growth as prescribed by the state forester. It can include recreational use that is producing income. Next. Qualifications, it has to have a minimum of 20 acres in use, be income producing, must be well distributed commercially valuable trees. Non-productive property will qualify, or may qualify depending on accessibility and things like that. And it must be in a planning program for management. Open space use, this would include your parks, your golf courses, historical, use for historical and scenic purposes. Next. This again must be 5 acres minimum in use or less as prescribed by local ordinance. Must be used for the parks, basically for the public to enjoy the property. It has to be protected by conservation practices, and there must be agreement with the locality of no less than 4 years and no more than 10 years for open space qualifications. Next. State requirements. Must adopt a land use plan and an active ordinance. The ordinance shall be for any of the following 4 classifications, or for one or all 4 of the following classifications. The ordinance must state that land use in specific zoning districts will not be eligible. The ordinance shall be adopted December 31st of the year prior to the program taking place. Reassessment year shall follow after the adoption. The ordinance can specify a certain cost per acre set by the board. You can also have the option to a lower cost per acre or a sliding scale for properties held in longer periods of time. Option to set initial application fees, late filing fees, and revalidation fees. And the ordinance must be filed with the state land evaluation and advocacy. And this council, they usually publish a suggested range of cost per acre on land that is being used. Next. And the commissioner's role. The land will continue to be assessed at 100% fair market value and at land use value. All structures will be assessed at 100% fair market value. Both assessments must be published on the land books, and it is the option of the board if they would like them published on the assessment notices or the tax bills. Values will change each year. Taxes must remain current. We would have to determine what real estate meets the requirements, what portions of the real estate require. We would have to conduct property visits. Documentation that would be needed would be your district applications. There will be annual revalidation forms that would need to be completed. Anytime the use changes, the new application will have to be filed with office. Paperwork showing the bill crop production, of course, your USDA farm service number. Any kind of evidence that you're participating in a federal farm program. Proof of production for sale, such as your income tax filings, because this is all income based. You have to be producing income in order to qualify for use. Any farm management plans you may have, that would have to be provided to our office. Any kind of water agreements, lease agreements, forest management this right here is a piece of property that, say agriculture wasn't used. This is something that we would have to do in the office for each applicant. This is a 30-acre tract of land, give or take a few acres. We would have to go and determine which properties is being used for hay land, which property is being used for pasture land. The pond there may not qualify, but because there's a garden on it and they sell produce, and the pond irrigates the garden, that qualify. So it would take, it would take a lot of time to put it in, get it into place. I think once it's in place, would be okay, but we would have to look at each individual piece of property and determine the amount of acreage involved in the use. Next. This is just some more of the roles, basically what I described, just determining use, determine, of course, again, buildings that are being used for, like on that slide, there was a tack room there, the more horses. So that the land under that tack room qualified, but the building, of course, would be at 100% fair market value. These qualifications are met, then of course there is rollback taxes. Rollback taxes is for a maximum of 5 years. It occurs when a qualified use changes to a non-qualified use. If there's discontinued use, if the sale of a property to a new owner does not continue the use, if there's a zoning change, failure to report change in use, if there's subdivision of property and the new parcels do not meet the minimum acreage, and then again, change in ownership and discontinued use. All this can put in rollback taxes, and which rollback tax, like I said, maximum 5 years. So if you're in land use and you decide you don't want to be in land use anymore, you would have to pay 5 years back taxes on what it would have been assessed at 100% fair market value. There is an avoidance process to that. You can set up an agreement with the commissioner for a workout plan. So to avoid the 5 years, if you decide that you're gonna retire in 5 years, you have to continue to farm that land for 5 years, and then you're out of it. You're out of the plan, there's no rollback taxes or anything. If you come up with a plan, you can work out plan for 5 years, and you decide after 2 years, okay, you're done, you don't wanna do this anymore, you come out, you owe 3 years of rollback taxes. So there is a way to avoid all rollback taxes of the workout plan. Next. This again just shows the localities in the state that are participating and non-participating, and these are the current tax rates in those localities. Next. This here shows the based on the USDA and the RCS, the soil type around Mexico County was considered, the amount of acreage is considered prime land, prime farmland, non-prime, and statewide. Next. Okay, this here, 5 acres, like I said, it has to be a minimum of 5 acres and above, zone agricultural. This shows all the properties in Mecklenburg County, 5 acres and above, zone agricultural vacant land, which consists of approximately 195,000 acres or 48% of land area in Mecklenburg County. So this is what could be potentially qualified.
Is that all open land?
Yes, it's all vacant. No. This is just all vacant land in Mecklenburg County, zone ag. So there could be some woodland and forest land and everything in there also.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Next. All right, based on that previous 5 acres and plus in Mecklenburg County, right now the land use value would be at $1,300 per acre, no matter the acreage, size of the tract. So if everything potentially qualified for use, over here you see the current assessed value is 519 million, and what the current levy is. And then with the land use assessment, you'd be at 268 million and current levy at $966,000. So the difference in between the two that the county would basically give up, I guess, would be provided $900,000. That's based on 5 acres. And of course, that could be different because depending on the use. Next. And I just want to speak on the information.
So, you know, as we evaluated these options, and this was done, you know, in conjunction with Lisa and her opinion of what her staff could manage or not manage, it was our professional recommendation that if we were to pursue this option, it would be advantageous to do it going into not the reassessment that's forthcoming, but the one thereafter. At this point, the steps that we would need to take in order for it to be executed for this upcoming reassessment would be, first, we'd have to have we'd have to draft the ordinance, which, you know, there's a lot of sample ones out there, so that could be manageable. But we'd need to have a public hearing by December and adopt it by December, which isn't so problematic, although those are steps that we would need to overcome. The real challenge is what Lisa was saying about earlier. It's the documentation factor. All of the steps that are necessary to get us in a posture to be able to, you know, pull this program off are going to take her office time. It's just, there's no way around it. They're going to have to go to all these properties, as she said. They're going to have to divvy up what's where. You're going to have a lot of community input to bring the documents to us. And honestly, I think there's going to be some people who are going to opt out of participating in this program because of the amount of documentation they're going to have to provide. But kind of building the portfolio for each property at the front end is going to take work, and it's going to be helpful also for us to have more time to put the message out that this is forthcoming. If you have the ability to use 2026 as a messaging tool to host workshops, to say this is what we're going to need, to have forums where people can all come at the same time to bring their information, to allow her staff to go out and survey all of these properties. Then what you can do is you could adopt an ordinance. Again, this presumes that there is interest and we wish to proceed with it. By the end of 2026 or the beginning of 2027, with an effective date of the next reassessment. And there's no prohibition on adopting something with a delayed effective date. And so you could do that to allow for an orderly transition into this taxation regime, this assessment regime, in a way that will allow all of the data points to be pulled and properly measured, which is going to help ease the implementation of the program and ease the burden on the taxpayer rather than have a mad rush in the next few months for people to all submit all their documents, gather their documents. People don't even know what documents they need. You saw there was a slide, and I think you went through it fairly fast, that had an entire list of income schedules. You're going to have this one, this one, this one, this one. So there's a lot of work on both our side and on the community side that would be necessary. And then also we can have time to do that outreach, not only having those community groups, but we can also do mass mail-ins to all of the households in the county to kind of do that better advance notice campaign in order to have this to be a more successfully executed program. I do think, though, it's worthwhile to consider, if we were to elongate the time frame, what classifications are particularly necessary to be enacted in Mecklenburg County. And I don't believe that all four would have to be done in one uniform fashion. So that's a conversation that would be benefited from getting further evaluation upon, further discussion and dialogue upon. The other thing too is, I know this is a lot of information in this presentation. This presentation is in your packet. So definitely want all of you all to have time to go back after today and review these slides and think about some of this material, because it was an extensive amount, and I know we're moving through this on a fairly rapid pace today. And that's why we've kind of created a timeline where we would have additional perspective next month as well. But those are some of the things to just contemplate as we evaluate when is the best time to implement this, should we choose to implement this. And it's our belief that it will be better off with a 2028 rather than a 2026 reassessment timeframe. The only other point I would put out at this time is it's going to be very confusing for your taxpayers. And again, there's going to be taxpayers that are greatly advantaged by this. But I know one source of discomfort for a lot of you all is the questions around when the bills go out, when the tax reassessment notices go out. People have a lot of confusion when they get those notices in. This is only going to magnify that problem further, because you're going to have multiple more categories on those bills, because you're going to have a home that is valued at a certain amount. You're going to have land that's valued at a certain amount. You're going to have 4 different segments of land that are all going to get different valuations attributed to them. I do think that there will be greater confusion, especially early on, from your general taxpayer when they receive this notice in the mail about what is going on, what am I seeing, what am I looking at, and that's going to be something that it will be helpful to have that education campaign too, to help maybe deter some of those aspects, because I know it's going to be confusing for professional staff. So I can't even imagine what it would be like when you get a notice in the mail that has so many different lines with all of these different values computed on it.
Did you mention anything about rental property?
Rental property?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is that included in that?
Yeah, kind of, it should be defined in that, but, yeah, so lease land. So your lease farmland or any kind of lease land, that they qualify. We have to have copies, lease agreements and things like that. And it just has to show that the purchase.
Okay.
I like that, you got any questions you have, just give me a call. And later discuss it further. Hey, with you today, I think he wants to speak on some of this information and his thoughts on land use.
I don't know how good my thoughts are. After the morning's deliberation. I did, so one of the things from a ag promotion thing that counties can do besides land use taxation on a broad thing, is voluntary ag and forestry districts. And I found an older fact sheet that I developed by Farm Bureau that I thought did the best job of laying out what it is and how the county would implement it and that kind of thing. I also, for Alec, printed the Virginia Code on it. And I also found there's a fair amount of information on American Farmland Trust around protecting ag land. That's interesting to read, and from a planning and comprehensive plan standpoint for that. And they had a checklist of how our county is doing that. I'm sorry. And them all the stuff that it passed around. Lisa said that the land use taxation was passed in legislation in the early 1970s. And a few years after that was passed, the Voluntary Agriculture and Forestry District Act was passed in 1977. And really the intent
fairly similar to the land use assessment legislation to encourage the development and improvement of the Commonwealth agricultural forestry lands for the production of food and other agricultural and forestry products, and to conserve and protect agricultural forestry lands as a valued natural and ecological resource. This act grants localities the authority to form ag and forestry districts. The unique thing about voluntary forestry districts, it is the landowners that start the process. Once the locality has the ordinance. So to form a district, there has to be 200 continuous acres that the landowner commits to not develop over a certain period of time. And I think the statute has that set somewhere between 4 and 10 years, depending on the ordinance that the county adopts. That becomes the core if it's accepted by that district, accepted by the locality for a district. Once that district is formed, adjacent land that's either adjacent to the 200 can apply to become part of the district. Land up to a mile away, tax parcels that meet the requirements for the district can become part of that. One of the things that's brought out by people involved in protecting ag land is that ag and forestry districts work well with counties' comprehensive plan. The other part of that, if you look at land that has been protected in Mecklenburg County already through conservation easement, and really the difference between participating in a voluntary forestry district and a conservation easement is the duration of that. But when you go into a conservation easement, you prevent development for perpetuity. I mean, it's forever. In a voluntary ag and forestry district, there's a time limit, and then after that's up, the landowner can re-enroll and continue that, and or pull it out of the district. So it adds some flexibility to that. So far as, kind of the benefits to the landowner, land enrolled in a agricultural forestry district would be entitled to land use taxation. It's the same as land that's in a conservation easement should have that ability, since they have reduced the value of that by selling, conserving the development part of it. From a county standpoint, the code does state that you need to have a advisory committee for the ag and forestry district. And it says, what the makeup of that should be, at least 4 practicing agricultural producers, and then 4 other landowners in the county, plus 1 member of the board of supervisors. And in lieu of that committee, if the zoning board meets that makeup of having 4 producers, agricultural producers, or forestry producers, that can be served as the advisory
right now, they have 30 localities in the state that use the ag and forestry districts. The majority of those are in Northern Virginia. I don't know if on Lisa's slides that had all the different land use type things, it should have been a block that was ag and forestry districts. I don't know if it's a county that only does that and not land use on top of it. So I guess one of the things that came to mind was, that the interest in, land use, taxation, that this could be a kind of compromise for the county to wet its feet in, from the standpoint that you have to have buy-in from property owners. They give up something to get something. Take some of the burden off of the office to Lisa's office to try to figure out how to do it. Because a lot of the information to place land into the district would be very simple. So I'll if there's any questions I can try to answer, I will do that. Most of the information that I understand, y'all have that in front of you that now. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I was just going to say, just flipping through the state code, one extra benefit of this would provide you with an extra legally sufficient tool for voting against a development proposal. Whether that be a local development proposal, let's say there was a housing development that wanted to go in a spot in the middle of the county, far away from any public utilities that would not be in conformance with this district should it be created. That would be a recourse for you all to deny that. That would be a legally protected reason. It also affords here if a agency of the Commonwealth were to be interested in putting in a facility in a district, and that is in excess of, if they're going to buy in excess of 1 acre or the total acquisition in a district is in excess of 10 acres, there's another mechanism by which this board could then weigh in on that proposal before it goes up to any state agency for action. And so that would create another buffer for local input on projects whereby they might not have input presently, including potentially an item that was discussed at length today. So that's another advantage, it looks like, of this particular model. But this would be a zoning, this would also be a zoning aspect in addition to just being a taxation aspect.
Yeah, and from some of the reading, I think, because of some of the protections both ways and the way the law is written for the ag districts, and it being a voluntary thing, coal around folks that have the same outlook for the rural agricultural forestry type thing. It may even be stronger than our zoning, from a development standpoint, from some of the information that I read. And then the other thing I think we have in the county, several thousand acres of ag land already protected in conservation easements. And those areas would provide a great start for an agricultural district to build around those. So we already have those across. And if you want to see them, you can bring them up on the Balin site, and they have them mapped out in the same sites you use for the
a whole lot to digest.
It is.
Sounded like more regulation.
So, take it home and study. That's all I can tell you right now. You certainly can't. I don't even know enough about it right now to ask questions probably.
Yeah, I think on both of these items, I mean, there's a particular wealth of information. But I think one point about this map in particular, you'll notice, we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones who don't have something.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of choices that have been made independently over the last, 45, 50 years about what to do. And you can see on this map the diversity of options that have been selected. There's all kinds of different computations that have been put together by counties and localities here in Virginia about what to do on this topic. But there's a whole bunch of counties, including a lot here in Southside Virginia, who have said, no, we don't need to do anything. So, whatever choice.
Have they said, no, we don't need to do anything, or are they just uninformed?
I think this topic has certainly come up in a few of those counties.
It's for, population, to maintain population growth. But, one of the criteria, that was what was adopted back in 1971.
Was try to protect rural areas.
It's an extremely complex issue from a lot of different fronts, for sure. So it's a lot of moving parts here. Just really complex. I mean, it really is. And it varies from locality to locality, county to county. I don't know that you could compare us with another county or the other county with us. It's all real complicated here. So is that all we have on this?
But now, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant for today.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can talk about it some more in the future. Okay.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, Taylor.
All right, Taylor. Then we got VDOT. Brad, I almost skipped over you. I don't want to do that.
Good morning.
Not after you've been sitting here this long.
Yeah, I think I earned it. Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
I can promise you earned it.
Want to speak to the report you have in your packet for the month of September. The residency issued 17 total permits. Mowing is continuing our final round. We're on primaries right now. We will be cutting that in state courses except for Route 58. Contractors will be cutting that. When they get done with primaries, they will go on to secondary routes. Tree trimming will commence or start on I-85 at the state line. They will go northbound to the 18-mile mark and clip back the trees on the inside of the median. I know a lot of complaints have probably come across your desk. You've heard it, and they're finally able to get it there and get the contracts to cut that back. Bridge crews are doing preventive maintenance in the county. If I could walk through just the three areas that we have in the county, Chase City area headquarters received 12 complaints from citizens. At the end of the month, they have closed 11 of those. They did complete the rural rustic project on Hayesville Road, thankfully. They completed numerous repairs on Meadow Road and Traffic Road, and they are performing patching on Highway 47, 92, and 49. Aside from that, they did operate some maintenance activities to include driveway cleanups and pipe repair. Clarksburg headquarters received 12 complaints from citizens, and they closed all 12 of those by the end of the month. They've applied plan mix to Beach Creek Road, Forest Hill Lane, machined and hauled rock to several dirt roads in their area. Burnt Store area headquarters received 32 complaints. At the end of the month, they had closed 26 of those. They performed patching on Rocky Branch, Golf Drive, and Cleveland Road, performed some extensive ditching on Route 619 Nellie Jones Road, and some shoulder repairs on Route 903. And if you've been through the area, you notice the extensive work they're doing on the drainage right down 58 and Lake Cross, which has been much needed. Moving on from that to our contractors, paving is finishing up. You'll notice that on 58. Other than a punch list item and some rumble strip they are done with that contract. The safety contract is still working in the area, not much left. Aside from that, we're closing the season on construction, and that is all I have to report. Any questions, comments?
Okay. Any questions?
comment is we appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I ride down the road, I can tell your people at work. So thank you for that. And please extend, thank you to
I
them.
will. And I will take this opportunity as I do with most. We have some of the most dedicated people in South Side Virginia working on our roads, and they take pride in what they do every day.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
Okay. Jenny?
We have one person signed up, Dr. Warner.
Well, we'll let him speak.
We in his house.
Yeah.
Welcome to our house again. I want to do this formally. So good morning, Chairman Jennings, members of the Board of Supervisors, County Administrator, Mr. Gottschalk, and the members of the public. I know I need to identify myself. I'm Scott Warner. I'm the Superintendent of Mecklenburg County Public Schools, and I am a resident of Mecklenburg County at 2185 Taylor Ferry Road, Boynton, Virginia. And I just wanted to take a moment of your time to publicly thank you on behalf of our students, our parents, and the staff of Mecklenburg County Public Schools for the continued support of our programs, our facilities, and our operating and capital budgets. My predecessor, former Superintendent Mr. Paul Nichols, worked very hard to develop a strong and collaborative relationship between the Board of Education and the Board of Supervisors. This relationship has burgeoned into so many opportunities for our students in our community, as evidenced by our new secondary complex, Clarksville Elementary School, and the financial support of employees' salaries, which outpaces most of the school divisions in the Commonwealth, and for which I thank you profusely. I'm hoping during my tenure that I and the current school board were able to perpetuate this relationship in the same positive and forward motion. As you know, I'll be stepping down at the end of the school year, June 30th, 2026, and our school board has named my successor, Ms. Christy Pepper, right here, who has resided in the county since 1989. She's worked in nearly every capacity within the school division for over 36 years, or 37? 37 years. And I just wanted to formally introduce her to you and add that I believe that you'll find Ms. Pepper to be an outstanding superintendent and a great partner and purveyor for the progression as we continue to move forward. That's all I have to say.
All right.
I look forward to working with all of you. Most of you know me. I've presented a few times. It's been in the past. But one thing going for me, I did survive being the finance director with Wayne Carter for 7 years. So that's one thing going for me. But
Well, you got told no some.
I do look forward to continuing to promote the county and the beautiful schools y'all are building for us and getting people to come in. It's a beautiful county to live in. I've enjoyed living in it for 37 years. And I live in the small part of Nelson. I tried to get Microsoft to come down here and build, but it didn't work out too well. But I do look forward to working with you and continuing to build a relationship.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Absolutely.
That was the only one
Alex?
signed up?
That was it.
All right.
That was it.
All right, we have a few items to take action on here today. The first item we have is this was provided to us from Southside Plan District Commission. This is a resolution. So right now, the PDC has a subsidiary or some entity that they have involvement in. It's the Lake Country Development Corporation. I believe at least two of the board members sitting up here today are or have served on this body. It's a pass-through organization that's involved in providing loans that come in from the U.S. economic development, as well as from other sources, and they lend it out to local businesses. The functions that they provide were deemed necessary at the time of creation in the early 80s because the PDC didn't have the authority or the power to do it at that point. It's since been determined that thanks to changes in Virginia law, the PDC can act in this function, and there's no need to have this separate arrangement. And so the directors of the corporation have opted to dissolve themselves and transfer all the functions and the loans and the assets over to the PDC directly. They're still going to have, they have a committee of local bankers that are involved in evaluating those loans. That will remain. Just ultimately the PDC board will make, the commission members will make the decisions on the final product rather than this separate corporation. So that resolution is in front of you. As a member, participating member, we have to give them our blessing for them to dissolve. And so that is what has been requested of you at this point in time.
So we need a motion.
We need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adopt this resolution.
Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
The second item we had a request, and I'll let them come up and speak to it further, but we had a request from VCU Health, both locally as well as their Life Evac team for the system overall. They would like to put a Life Evac helicopter here in Mecklenburg County, which is fantastic news for us. That will expedite responses. Right now, what's happening is the helicopters are coming from the central locations down here, picking people up and going back. By having a helicopter situated here, you get rid of one of the deterrent steps, and you can just have it come from here and go directly to the facility. So that will speed up transport and really help with patient care. Because they are an EMS agency that will be providing a service within the county, we as the board have, or you all as the board, we as the county have to grant them the authority to operate within the boundaries of Mecklenburg County. That step is required before they could get a license from the Office of EMS to do this life-saving service. So that is what is in front of you, but I would like to have the hospital representatives come speak to their request.
Good afternoon, I'm Shawna Marr, the president of VCU Health Community Memorial Hospital. And it's a pleasure to stand before you. The last time I was here, I was introducing myself to the community, and we have grown significantly, serving not only the residents of Mecklenburg County, but we're seeing our footprint expand to Southern Virginia. We are on our quest to become a level 3 trauma program. We have the only birthing program along Southern Virginia. The next one closest to us being in Danville, Virginia. Our need for air medical transport as the emergency department has exceeded their volumes. So we're seeing over 26,500 patients now annually. Many of them critically ill, is the need for life-saving therapy to send patients out. So the hospital is performing very well. We're here to serve not only Mecklenburg County, but also Southern Virginia. We've heard about all the challenges in rural health, and I'm pleased to share that as VCU Health System being an academic medical center, we are being able to hold our footprint strong here and continue to expand our services. I'll turn this over to Dempsey, who is a colleague of mine, not only here on the Life Evac journey, but previously in the air medical space, to share some statistics on the growth that we've seen with the current helicopters.
Good morning, board. My name is Dempsey Witt, and I'm the program director for VCU Health's Medevac program. Radio call sign is Life Evac. As you heard that already. We currently operate 3 other helicopters in Virginia, in the Central Virginia area. One is in Petersburg, one is up in Hanover, one is out in West Point. As it relates to Mecklenburg County, the last year or so, we've been averaging about 37 flights from the county. Most of those come in from community memorial, but about 10 or so a month coming out of Mecklenburg County as well. So that's for a total of 35 patients. So in us moving the aircraft here, we get that patient much quicker. We don't have that leg of 30 minutes or so that it takes us to get here to the county. So we can get that patient preventative care much quicker than what we currently are. We also consider ourselves a community resource model, meaning that although our staff are all VCU employees, we serve the communities that we're in. And we take the patient to the closest, most appropriate facility, whether that's our hospital or not. That commitment is also further evidenced in our alliance that we have with Mercy Bon Secours, where we have aircraft co-branded with them, and also with Riverside Health System out of the eastern side of the state, where we also have a helicopter co-branded with them as well. So we are here to serve the community. That's our goal. That's our mission. We have a motto at Life Back, we just care more, and we take that very seriously. We are there to get the patient from where they are at, where they need to be, whether that's us or whether we have to reach out to other resources to get the patient moved. We stay with that patient. We have a comm center here locally located in Rickel County. Our people in the comm center know the area very well, and they are committed in what they do as far as it relates to getting that patient where they need. So, any questions?
I mean, I don't have any, but I just like to thank you for what a great asset in this county and the job y'all do. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful news, so we greatly appreciate it on behalf of the Board of Supervisors.
It's an honor.
If I could add one thing, we hosted an inaugural Flight Academy this past October through December, and 3 paramedics out of this region were hired to fly on air medical programs. So the continued collaboration on workforce development, I think, is also huge too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. And you got something?
That's great news.
Yeah.
Mr. Justin, what you think about it? I wouldn't ask you to come up, we just asked what you thought about it.
Just a yes, no answer.
You took the lid off.
He thinks so, man. We gotta come on. They've done an outstanding job. Putting this resource down is gonna be great for us. It's gonna cut our flight times down. Right now, if we call for helicopter work in the middle of 25 to 30 minutes on the average to get somebody in. If it's full up on scene now, they're gonna have like 8 to 12 minutes. It's gonna cut it in half for us. What Dempsey said about the 35 flights a month, that just reflects what they see out of the hospital itself and what they pick up on scene. We use other flight services in the county. So that number's almost double. We're sending out probably 18 to 20 ourselves, just our 18, not the other 2. So it's going to be a huge asset. I appreciate y'all considering it forward.
Thank you. That's just perfect news.
So you all need to adopt a resolution that would establish, or grant them approval to establish a base of operations here in Mecklenburg County.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion's been made. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right. The next item we have is a utility services easement with Mecklenburg Electric. This is to serve the Bracy Convenience Center. We had to bring electricity service to Bracy Convenience Center for 2 reasons. Number one, to prepare for the eventual compactors that will be located there that run off electric service. But number 2, to power lights as a facility that is going to be operational during hours that are, after dark. We felt it was important to have adequate lighting for both our workers who are serving at that facility as well as the citizens who will be using that facility. So we needed to grant this to Mecklenburg Electric in order to install the service. I did have to sign this before the board's approval because in order to allow them to schedule it and actually do it, they had a time certain that they had to do it. And so we wanted to get that run and not have to wait for any other delays. So what we need is a motion to confirm our grant of this easement to Mecklenburg Electric.
Motion to approve.
Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
The last item we have in front of you is the county's emergency operations plan was last revised in October of 2021. Pursuant to the emergency disaster laws of the Commonwealth, they compel localities to review and revise or continue the operations plan every 4 years. Our 4-year period is this month. Justin has been working with Chad Neese at the Planning District Commission to revamp and redraft our current plan. We have finished a draft of that, but it came in last week, and we didn't feel like it would have enough time for the Emergency Services Committee to review it and make comments. So what we need to do today is to adopt a resolution that extends the authority of the current plan, the October 2021 plan, for a period of time until we're able to review and adopt the new plan. The date that is included in the resolution in your packet extends the authority of the current plan through December 31st of this year, or such time as the new plan is adopted. We felt that would allow for more than enough time for the Emergency Service Committee to meet and have at least 2 opportunities to get it on the full board's agenda before the current plan expires. So that is what is in front of you at this time, is a resolution to extend the authority of our current plan through the end of this calendar year.
Okay. The motion's been made. All in favor say aye.
And
Opposed? The motion carries.
a draft of the current plan will be transmitted later this week so that you all have ample time to take a look at it. And then we have all of our normal staff reports. And so that's all I have to add to the conversation at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Gottschalk. Good job. Chairman's report, we've got an appointment to the Planning Commission. I see that Mr. Mark Warren's term runs out September the 30th, 2025. He's eligible for reappointment. He is now serving as chairman at the last meeting. So we need a motion to reappoint him.
Motion to reappoint Mr. Mark Warren.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay. There's 2 times on here. What?
There's 2 different commission members that
I
have to be
didn't get that one.
Randy Crocker is the other one.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we need a motion to appoint, reappoint Mr. Randy Carhopper.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
The motion been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. All right, we got the consent calendar, and I don't want to burn up a lot of people's time here, but it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I want to pull it up, and I've said something to a few board members, but the consent calendar, and in fact, it's the people that put it together now, it, to me, has been somewhat of a train wreck for 35 years. I think you could follow the schematics on a SpaceX rocket easier than you could look at the consent calendar and pull anything out of it. And I just, going forward, if we could, maybe instruct staff over the next 4 months, maybe by a February meeting, to kind of revamp this thing and have categories and be able to go to the search bar. I know before we went to iLegislate, you could go to the search bar and you could type in a name, it would pull it up.
Did you see the new table of contents?
I saw the table, and I'm getting to that. But anyway, it should have, a table of contents. I don't think it's ever had a table of contents, but, and this is just an IT issue of assembling this stuff. And once whoever knows how to do all this stuff, you can push one button and it just puts it all in the order that we decide it needs to be in. But just to give you and I guess I had absolutely nothing to do to pull this up, but on the county administrator's line, the month of September was on page 11, August it was on page 12, July it was on page 93, June it was on 109, May it was on 97, April it was on 29, and March it was on 93, and February it was on 101, and January it was on page 11. And like I said, this has been going on for 30 years. I mean, it's almost impossible to look anything up. And I think probably on these categories, like what kind of got me digging into it, I just wanted to see what we were paying for some legal fees. It took a little while to find it and all, but just like have a category legal, and whatever we pay legal fees that month, they're total right there. And if you want to go to that page and get it itemized, go to that page and get it itemized. And like the the reports begin in each month. Like September, it started with the table of contents, which I thought was absolutely a good change to be able to go to the table of contents. And in August, it started with the accounts payable list. In July, it had a list of invoices. That's what it started with. In June, it was a treasurer's accountability. In May, it was a revenue summary. This is what it started with. So it was different every month. March, it was treasurer's accountability. February, treasurer's accountability. January, accounts payable checks. And September didn't even have the list of invoices that I don't even know that we need. I guess this is just a register of checks being written going out of the county, right? If we could just organize those a little more where they are, and I think any supervisors ever sit here will tell you that we've been rubber stamping that thing for a long time. I know I have. I think with the growth that's in the county, the money that's in the county, it just brings a layer of transparency and ease of being able to pull things out of it for the board or the public or whoever wants to do that. So if we could maybe set a goal, and it doesn't have to happen on this timeline, but set a goal maybe at our February meeting that we approve our January consent calendar with all these changes. And I don't even know what's in it. I know like social services doesn't flow through it, but I don't know if that changes from month to month. I don't know. The list of things that go through the check register, is that exactly the same every month?
Mm-hmm.
So if we could get that list of, well, these are the things that
It depends
go
on
through
what's
it this
actually
month.
spent though. So there's some funds that don't have any spending in a month, so they wouldn't show up.
Yeah,
because
well,
there's no
and that's
activity.
fine.
Yeah.
But if we could do a list of things, especially the things that are not in it, like social services is not in it.
Social services is not in it because they have their own board that.
I realize that, but technically it's kind of county money, but it doesn't flow through the consent calendar. So is this possible to do all this? And to me, it's an IT thing.
It's more than IT because it's not our system. We don't have a accounting financial system that is just ours. We're part of an overall product system that is a third-party operator. So could they possibly create something for us? Yes. Is that something that we could just say to staff, we are going to go do this month and do it? No, we can't, because it's dependent on their code writers writing the report in the way that we would like it specified. Which again, as a client of that service, we can have them do, but it's not something that we have any control over necessarily when that's produced.
And I realize it's probably a little complicated on the beginning side, but once you've got it done, it makes it pretty easy to navigate. And I would like the input from board members on this. I don't think it's a board member out here anyway that says, oh, okay, the consent calendar. Yeah, I looked at that for 4 hours the other night. That didn't happen, and I can tell you that.
Are you speaking of just the expenses, like the checks that are written, or some of the treasurer's accountability?
That's a good question. Probably the checks that have been written, probably. It's just, we're not, like we've said many times, we're not the same county that, we used to be 5 years ago. There's a lot of money flowing through this county now.
See, the way it's broken down this time, if you click on the department, it takes you to the checks written out of that department, and that's how our budget is set up. So, and it may be this month, county administrators, we may have had 100 checks. Last month, we may have had 50 checks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
But has assembled like that. I don't know why they would assemble it like starting it with this just all, they're just all scattered around on different pages for every month.
Then I guess it depends on how many checks was written that it hits a breaking point and it goes to the next page.
Yeah, I mean, and you should be able to, and I'm not saying this is a issue or anything, but like any checks that were written, say, to mileage, you should be able to click on a button and see all of the of money that was spent on mileage.
So
the total.
Yeah, so what you want there is you want it by account code or object code rather than by department. Right now, it's being run by department. So it would show it in every single department. It hits
I
it
just
rather
wanted
than.
where it's easy to navigate and read. That's all that's all.
I unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to be the case.
Like
I
said,
think it
said
could
in
be.
fairness,
I think it could
everybody's
be
been going
better,
on for
but I
30
don't
years.
think it's going to be like the greatest report. Trust me, there's a lot of reports in this system that I'm not fond of either when I try to do the budget process. But a lot of it is dependent, again, because it's not us. We're relying on
when you
some
get to looking at
program.
it, you go, what in the
Well, you
world?
said it's a third party, I guess, software.
Yeah.
I mean, are you happy with it?
I don't want to have that conversation at this point in time.
Well, you just answered it.
You said a keyword. You said we were a client.
It is not the only third party. Every third party provider is going to have things that you do not like, and the transition to another one is going to be a massive problem and just absolutely be a nightmare. No matter what I've been part of it before.
So y'all just got a program from this third party that
Yeah.
you're using.
Yes,
And it just does it this way.
that's right. That's
But
correct.
it can be ran, if you want object codes, it can be ran by object code. You just gotta set.
Yeah.
And like every check we write, we charge it somewhere.
Yeah.
Account, every check. And say if it's insurance, it's 9203, every object code, so we can run it by that. It'll start out at the department and then just show those object codes. I mean, that can happen.
But again, it's not gonna say insurance, or it's not gonna say mileage, because that's not part of,
It's
like,
gonna say
cover
animal.
budget, it would be like.
Well, not
liabilities.
like
It would
legal.
be like liabilities for her insurance, and for mileage, it may be under like travel,
Yeah, it's
you
gonna
know,
travel.
whatever the codes are.
Well, I tell you what, let's leave with this. Let's leave. We're talking about it. We're thinking about it. We'll see if we can do something in the future. That's all I want. And I just said 4 months. It may take a year. I don't know.
Well, one thing is decide what you want and how specific, and at that point, we can go, BAI is our county, is who we use right now. We can go to them and see if it's possible. I know you can run by item, because I do it, that's how I budget insurance. I run out every insurance that we've had of every department when we're working on the budget, so I know that can happen. I just need to know what you're looking for, and we can do it like that. And it's every expense. Which is a check, but it's gonna be every expense.
Okay.
By that line item.
I think what you're saying is more user friendly.
More simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
more
you can
user
find
friendly
what
and more
it is you're
simplicity.
searching for.
And see, the reason it's like this is, it's always been that the board of supervisors has to approve, I don't know where the name consent calendar came from, Alex probably knows.
I don't either.
Many
I've
years
never
ago.
understood that one.
It's a mixed bag. There are some localities that do this. Probably a lot more do it. There's some that certainly don't. I can say that in Virginia Beach, there was nobody on council who was sitting there looking through what probably would have been like 15,000 pages of expenses every single time. So why some places do it and why some places don't?
Why it's named that,
Yeah, I know the old way you could go to the search bar, you type a name in, and it would go through that. It would be those names would be highlighted. What was paid, a name or entity, whatever. And on this, I legislate. You can't type in the Jenny. I remember I mentioned that to you.
I think that's probably how the PDF is downloaded. I think that probably could be fixed.
If you do Command F, that's not good.
Yeah. So like for example, it's how the report is generated. Because if you look at the August balance revenues, you can't do it that way. On the September expenses, you can't do it that way. So that is a PDF. That's a function of how it's downloaded out of the system. That should be able to be resolved.
Okay.
Well, I think staff here's what we're talking about. Maybe just take a little time and look and see if it's anything a little more transparent that we can use or something. Maybe it ain't. Maybe we got to continue where we're going. But we just say, let's look at it to make it a little more.
Okay.
But as far as if it's other departments like social services, that would be something totally different.
Well, I knew that wasn't in it. That's why I just used that example. I don't know the things that flow through the county that are not in the consent calendar. I don't know what they are, other than I knew social services wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as usual.
Could you explain that to me?
So move.
I don't, motion's been made. All in favor, say aye.
I didn't look at some.
Those opposed, I'm scared to ask for those opposed, but anyway, motion carries. So now down to board member comments. Ms. Blackwell, I let Ms. Lundy go first last time. I'm gonna let you go first today.
All is well.
All is well.
All is well.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Gravitt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just got a couple things. I know today we once again talked about, some solar generation in the county, and a couple things that kind of got stuck in my craw a little bit. One would be, I feel like, at the end of the day, most of the constituents in the district now, I don't think would want it. So, and the second thing is, like I said, with just Dominion, we're sitting here looking for generation, have increased demand on the grid. And I feel like, we ought to just remind ourselves, we had that generation in the county. It was in Clarksville, and people in Northern Virginia and in Richmond deemed that we didn't need any more, and they bulldozed it. And though it was a little dated, but people who worked there had told me that it was as efficient as it could possibly be for the size and the age. And I think it's just, to me, it's just a little bit of a double standard to bulldoze something like that that's viable when we need it so very dearly, and just hop across the state line and buy electricity from, Mayo and Hyco from Duke Energy. I feel like that's a little bit of a double standard, and I just, I can't get behind that. I feel like it's got a place, but until Dominion seeks out a viable future, we could pass 100 of these things, and from what I'm gathering, it's a Band-Aid at best. We've got to get something that's gonna produce sustainable amount of energy for the demand and what's coming. And I just don't think this is gonna be it until something drastically changes. And that's how I feel about it. So I just wanted to kind of be clear on that and see where, kind of express my concerns. Alex, do we have anybody, a representative from the State Corporation Commission that can come here?
I mean, they don't have service districts, so there wouldn't be any person that's like assigned to our area. I mean, we could certainly invite a staff member to come talk to us about what do you want to talk to them about.
Just, me, nothing.
I mean, we can certainly invite them to come, but they're under no obligation to weigh in on anything. I mean, at the end of the day, the Corporation Commission's staff's job is to evaluate the filings that are put in front of them and make a recommendation, which then goes to the State Corporation Commission's judges, who then, in a legal capacity, weigh in and make a verdict. So their staff members, could come speak to, I don't know how they evaluate things, but even so, they're under no obligation to have to go anywhere because they're their own independent agency.
Right. I just feel like some things that they do pass have direct effects on our county constituents. And if we have questions, we're not due any answers. Is that their stance?
Your option would be to file a motion to intervene in that particular case and express your thoughts on the matter through that forum, and then they will take that under advisement with all of the other material that they are considering. And that's the process that is afforded to anybody who's not a direct party to the matter, and the people who are a direct party to the matter.
It sounds like it's right. Well, if we could, if somebody's willing, I'm sure they're not. I think there's some questions that we do have that the board and I think constituents in the county probably would like to have some answers to. So I don't know if that's something we can try to put together or just reach out and see if we could, talk about some things.
I think if we were to issue an invitation, it would have to be a very specific matter that they're gonna come prepared for, that they will address this item and this item alone, and it's not going to be a wide-ranging inquisition of their practices and customs.
Right. All right. Well, I tried. Another thing is, I was talking to another supervisor about but the land that we own as far as the county is concerned. Is most of it is in timber production now, correct?
Most of the land that the county owns is doing whatever it's inclined to do by natural state. It's not an intended
A lot
land.
of it has
forestry,
forest.
but yes, there are trees that have grown up on most of them.
Well,
Yes.
my question is, are we in the acreage the county owns? Are we managing it?
No,
Oh.
not in the like a timber management way.
Why
No.
not?
Not really good. Yeah, not really good. Just
Well, I'm just saying, if it's something that we need to do, I mean, is it something we should look into doing?
possibly if your goal is to generate revenue by regular cut-in cycles, then I suppose the answer would be yes. If your goal is to make it a scenic view shed in the time in which it's not a developed property, then the answer to that would probably be no.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like if we have these tracts of land that are just sitting there kind of in a dormant state, whether it be for industrial or something else, I mean, could we not, generate some revenue off of it while it sits idle?
Certainly, you could,
I
but
mean,
you would give up the fact that it would then be a clear-cut property and people driving past it would then scream, where did the timber go?
It would go to the mill where all the rest of it is. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a lot of cutovers. People drive by, but I feel like if we were to cut it, I feel like that's something that, I don't know, maybe we ought to look into doing. I know that's not our primary goal, but it would be some point of generation. It would, help our local economy too also.
Is that
provide
something
jobs.
we can instruct the IDA to manage, or we would?
Yeah.
Would we manage that? How would that happen?
Well, it would mostly be the IDA because the IDA is the owner of record for most of the parcels in
Is the
the
IDA.
County for Economic Development.
Well, why don't we
Um,
turn it over to them and let them run with it?
I think a good idea.
But again, that depends on what you are trying to achieve, and if your goal is financial resources,
let me
then
ask you
yes.
this
If your
question.
goal is to preserve,
Let me ask you this question. Every parcel of land that Microsoft or any other industrial site's building on right now, what's the first thing they did before they started building?
they clear cut it,
They cut the timber.
except for the buffer that was
So
required.
obviously, if it has
And
standing timber on it, or if it doesn't, that doesn't matter to them. They want the dirt. They
right,
don't care about trees. So so you never know. If it's in a cycle where we just clear cut, it might be more attractive to them. They don't have to wait 6 months on a log, or 12 months.
we would do that if we had a site that was prime for development and it was our primary site that we were going to develop on. Yes, we would in fact do that stage. We have some properties that we own that are not ready for development or are encumbered by other reasons that are not in the stage where we would have them ready for development within a, say, 6-month time frame, in which case we haven't really touched them.
Well, like I said, just think it over and we'll just, see if we can come up with something. That's all I got.
Be interesting to have a map of some of those locations, though. I'm not familiar where
Yeah,
every
what-
one of them are.
How many total acres is it? 1,000?
It's over for all of the property that we have that would be of substance and available for development is certainly over 1,000. Off the top of my head, I'd say it's somewhere in the 15 to 2,000 range, but several of them have lease agreements on them and are not immediately available for other development.
And some of them are
purposes.
buildings, right? Some of it's
I'm discounting the buildings as part of
Oh,
that.
you
I'm just talking about like open
You're
spaces,
talking about
large open.
raw land.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Vast majority of them are right here.
I would say if it's a general consensus of the board, let the IDA grab hold of this and figure something out. Angie? They can do that? Just send Tammy an email and tell them, put it on the agenda for the next meeting. That all you got? Ms. Lundy?
Yes. I think that's an excellent move that the MCB is doing with the lead flight. Anytime they can change the time, pickup time from 25 minutes to 8 to 10 minutes, that's very beneficial for the citizens of our county and also those who are traveling through. According to the consensus calendar, I would like to see them stay with the departments. When I did this, when I was doing my training with this at BPI, you need to do it by departments. It'd be much easier because you go to the departments and then the person for your budget also. And then if you want to break it down, ask the people who are responsible for putting it together. I mean, I don't need to know everybody. You may need to know everybody because you're the chairman of the board. What everybody travel is and all that kind of thing like that.
I just use that for an example.
I know, I'm just saying that. But I think it's more important for the ones who are doing the budget and for those who you call on if you need something. They can fastly give it to you because they know where it is. But whatever the board suggests.
Yeah, my goal was just to make sure you can navigate through it with ease.
But I still think it's best by department. Now, moving on. Congratulations to Ms. Pfeiffer, if that's what the last name is?
Pepper.
Pepper, okay. I look forward to working with you. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm.
That it?
Yeah.
Dennis?
Congratulations as well from me. We're looking forward to it. A couple of things. So I think we've had a good discussion today. Probably a spirited discussion in some cases with solar. But I want to bring up some things, and I mentioned this to a couple of board members, and I've actually mentioned it to Justin Pope as well. I don't know if he's still here or not. I don't think so. But he would be a good one probably to, because he answered some of my questions, and so I thought he did a good job at that. So he might be a good one to as a resource. But what I want to say is that first of all, I appreciate the interest from all of these different players as far as their interest in expanding energy in the county. I think we all agree. We appreciate the fact that people recognize that that we could potentially have shortages or brownouts or having to buy energy from other places. That's all of concern. I'm asking today that the board consider, let's discuss some other options other than solar. I'm proposing today that the board have discussions at some point. I'm not saying it has to happen right away, but maybe let's establish a meeting or something to where we can come together and have a conversation. My proposal is that, and I'm looking at information that these folks provided to me. So just one piece of information that they shared with me, it's a small scale, and it shows energy source efficiency comparisons. And in the column where it talks about capacity factors, okay? In that column alone, when you look at solar, it shows 25%. I'm sure some of you got the same chart, same information that I have. And then when you look at other things such as something like coal is at 48%. Natural gas, okay, and this seems to at some point have been the direction that power companies were going was gas powered, plants. Well, I think we need to have a conversation about it. Is it time for Mecklenburg County to get a gas-powered plant? I mean, it's, or should we advocate for that? And also, nuclear, I know we don't want nuclear in our backyard. Nobody wants it in their backyard. But Justin and I talked about these centrifuges and things of that nature. And so, again, he's the expert on those kinds of things. But nuclear is at 90%. Guess what else is at 90%? And we got plenty of it. Hydropower. I mean, what are we doing talking about solar? We're in Mecklenburg County with an abundance of water, and we have John H. Kerr Dam right here in our backyard. Why are we talking about anything else other than creating more hydropower? So I'm proposing to this board and to Dominion or any other electric provider or energy provider that will have a conversation about it, Corps engineers, whoever they might be, because I know we're going to get some pushback on this. And that's why I say we need to discuss it at this level first. But to me, this is a no-brainer. We have an abundance of water already in the county. We have a power plant already in the county. Let's utilize those resources, expand upon them, or find additional infrastructure that we can add to it, and utilize what we have. Mecklenburg County should not be in a shortage of energy, not with the resources that we have right here in our backyard. So I apologize for sounding so adamant about this, but honestly, it kind of pisses me off that we have spent months talking about solar. And I haven't heard one person say about, well, hey, why don't we consider utilizing what we got right here in the county? So that's one thing. Something else I want to mention, completely off subject. Today is identified as a day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk. And if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, I encourage you to go look him up. Okay, but I think everybody pretty much knows who he is. He's also slated to receive the Medal of Freedom. It's going to be issued to him in his name. So I encourage you to, appreciate what this young man stands for, which basically, he stands for free speech, and he advocates for his faith. That's the bottom line of what he was about. But he was assassinated. And I'm happy to say that, I hate that anybody, goes through an assassination. But to my opinion is this is something that was identified as evil, but it's turned to good. People who know Charlie Kirk know what he stood for. They are now advocating, and his life example has touched people's heart. And people have come to know Jesus Christ because of his example. And so now Turning Point USA is expanding it across the country into all of these different universities. And, people of faith need to have a voice at these universities. With that said, the next thing I would say to you is we're in the voting season. I would encourage citizens to vote. I have myself a note here to vote biblically. So what I mean by that, when I say vote biblically, people should have a conviction in their heart when they vote, in my opinion. And what I mean by conviction in their heart is conviction of morality, conviction that little girls should not have to be subject to going into a girls' locker room, bathroom, what have you, and be subject to some guy standing there, some person who is biologically male, standing there with a ding-dong hanging out for my 12-year-old granddaughter to have to look at. That's not acceptable to me, okay? Also, conviction in their heart to stop killing babies. This whole idea of having abortion up until time of birth, that's crazy. That's just crazy. And again, I apologize for being so adamant about this, but these things, you know, they weigh heavy on my heart, and so I can't help but share with citizens to please be concerned about these kinds of things. We're in the voting season. Please go out and utilize your option to vote, and let your voice be heard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spence. Mr. Wilkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's tough on the father there. But I totally agree with everything you said. I do. So, I'm again glad to see, you know, Life Evac doing what they're doing. That I've got some personal friends that used to work for them, and great, you know, great crew, great company. And it's a real advancement for this area to have that option. I mean, I don't think people realize how big of a step up that is for Southern Virginia. So we're thankful to have y'all. The last thing is, you know, we need to really study and consider the land use assessment valuation. That was a lot to absorb, as was a lot of things today, actually. You know, we need to, if it takes time, it takes time. We need to really focus. If it takes 6 months, that's what it does. But I think it could be a real benefit to this area if managed correctly. So we need to do our part as a board to, you know, give it a chance. So that's all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rankin?
Mr. Chairman, I think everything has been said there, and I agree with everything they said, and due to time and Mr. Hargrove's stomach growling over there, I think I'm gonna yield my time.
You gonna yield to him?
I'm yielding to him. He's next, and it's yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I think everything has been said except for one thing. One of the things the chairman and I had discussed briefly is that when we have new hires, can you put them on our page or whenever we do something? Just say this person's been hired in this department, and so forth, so we've been know who they are instead of walking up to them, they introduce themselves, we ain't never seen them before, they've been hired for 5 months.
Just on the staff reports, you know, since I think, and I'm going to inject just a second.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think in October of 22, we decided that all of these new hires are not going to run through the personnel committee. The board would only deal with department heads, their issues, their salaries, that kind of thing. So all that does, if you just do a staff report when you hire a person and say, we hired so-and-so, and their position is such and such. No salaries, no nothing like that, just that up there.
And we were doing that. We had such a turmoil and we had so many people leaving and coming. We were doing that before. Now things have leveled off, so we just, but we'll definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be just on the staff reports. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm good. You took the time.
I had that written down.
Okay.
So, you good?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Okay. I don't have it real quick, Mr. Slayton. We are over with solar. We are capped on solar in Mecklenburg County as of this moment. Am I correct? Okay. I just want to make sure officially we are capped. So I guess the next thing I need to say is I need to wish my wife a happy anniversary of 47 years today. So I'm looking forward to a good meal tonight. I should say that.
She cooking.
If she can cook. So anybody else have anything? If not, I'm going to stand adjourned. Really give y'all a chance to say anything. I didn't want to. Yeah.